What is up, guys? How you doing? It's time for an alternative paper review. First up to the Independent today with Fujitsu. We knew right from the start about post office IT problem. So that's nice, isn't it? They knew right from the get-go that there was a real serious issue with their Horizon IT system. It was littered with bugs, but they implemented it anyway and then withheld information from various investigations and prosecutions. You see, this is why I have no hope, none, is because this was a relatively harmless IT system for the postal service, right? Like, what's going to happen when governments contract in a Fujitsu or an Accenture to roll out their war games artificial intelligence software? Like, we have a government that can't even work a WhatsApp account properly. Then they turn a blind eye to this stuff for a decade? I'm like, oh, sure. Yeah, I'm sure they're up to the job of regulating the artificial intelligence space. Oh, absolutely. End up contracting in a thing from a donor, and the project manager is someone that they go to the same golf club as, some silver spoon incompetent cretin whose entire team is just, jobs for the boys. And they'll just be lazy, or they'll just turn a blind eye or ignore or overlook a bug that ends up causing the 300-year enslavement of the entire human race. Next to the Mirror, the final betrayal, as Tata Steel are about to sack off 3,000 workers in Port Talbot. Now, the nuts and bolts of this are as follows. The UK is trying to be greener, and Tata Steel have this cleaner solution, this greener way to manufacture steel than the old blast furnaces. And it only takes, recycled materials. So out go the old blast furnaces, in come this new, cleaner, greener solution. But because we're progressing to this cleaner, more optimized technological solution in the 21st century, we're also leveraging off progressed technology, which requires fewer and fewer human beings to operate it. So now where we're at is the Tories gave a £500 million deal sweetener to Tata Steel to implement these things in Port Talbot, but the output of doing so means they're hemorrhaging about 3,000 workers. Now, the way that this is being reported is like it's just a labour force story, or it's an incompetent, callous Tory government. But that seems to be the narrative that's coming out of all the newspapers today. And it is both of those things. But really, to my mind, what this is actually, if you pan out, this is a story about the dangers of automation. It's the story of a more efficient technology wiping the floor with the labour market. This story, this is steel for now, but it will also be car manufacturing, warehouses, logistics, customer service that's manned by AI bots, Uber cars that end up being completely driverless. It's automation, robots, machines, en masse, making human beings redundant. And yes, I'm sure the government have a plan for it. But also, yes, I'm sorry to tell you that plan is probably littered with bugs and it will result in all of us being enslaved. I mean, it's probably not even going to be that accidental and buggy. The Tories are so ideologically wed to a hatred of state support. If it's the choice out of universal basic income or 99.9999% of the human race being enslaved by robots, the Tories will actually opt for the latter, just so nobody gets any state support. Aren't you upset that you've been enslaved by the robots too? No, absolutely not. I mean, you would think I'd be upset about this, wouldn't you? But no. If me being imprisoned, cocooned in my matrix egg is the price I have to pay to ensure none of you lot even get a sniff of a chance of a hike in your dole, then that is a price I'm willing to pay. That's how deep the hatred flows. Finally, to the Times, who say the army is set to shrink by 1/3 over the next 10 years. And to the Telegraph and the Mail, who are coincidentally amping up the idea of national service. Yeah, how about that? It's funny, isn't it? For all their talk of the European Court of Human Rights, or this broke, desperate person in this dinghy, for all their talk of these people being a threat to national security, it is the Conservative Party who have decimated the public finances to such an extent that they can no longer afford to maintain our armed forces. It is the Tories who are a threat to the national security, is it not? And so anyway, yes, fresh off the back of that poll, I don't know if you saw it a couple of days ago, it says 10% 9% of under 50s now would categorise themselves as supporters of the modern Conservative Party. Like, they're polling at the same level as the Green Party. Under 50! So yeah, fresh off the back of that poll, I guess what they're deciding is they're going to chase that youth vote by plugging the gap in the armed forces, by forcing 16-year-olds to go fly off to a foreign country, shoot some brown people for their oil, and then stand back and wait for the applause. We've liberated you, haven't we? Aren't you grateful for all this freedom? This freedom? Anyway, that's it for this one from me. There's a new Punk Politics out today at 4 p.m. And also do check out last night's podcast. That's out to YouTube members and Patreons now. My guest this week was Graham Hughes. Until next time, I gotta go. Peace.